You got to tell me when I'm alive.
We're live.
Right this second?
Already, yep.
Okay. So the name of this talk show is How to Be Yourself Because Everyone Else is Taken. And so in order to be yourself, it's the rules of astrology that the more distinct you can describe yourself, it's intimacy. Intimacy is into me, I see. So the more I know me, the closer I can get to you by not trying to change myself and being authentic. So we're going to address the topic today at hand is if you've got a lot of fire and someone tries to tell you to tone it down. I wonder how many of you in the audience are suffering from a fire dilemma. If you have a lot of fire, how to not tone it down. It's the same application, the same law. If you've got lots of water and you don't talk, how to have permission to not feel obligated or obliged to become the verbal person. Or if you've got lots of earth and you're so grounded and someone's a flake, how to not feel bad about cleaning up after them all the time. So basically, this conversation is you be yourself because everyone else is taken. And the more distinct you can be about your personality traits, the better. So, what we're specifically addressing fire today. This is the topic at hand brought to us by Debra Silverman. So, let's talk about um, some examples. So, you know the person that wakes up in the morning and they're like, "Good morning," and they're so loud and the volume's up and they turn on the TV. I stayed once with a woman. She won the Entrepreneur of the Year award in Canada, and I was her mentor, so I got invited to go with her. And her fire element, she had so much Capricorn, but she had Sag rising and she had Leo in her chart, and the volume. So, but if I were to say to her, when I wake up, I do my prayers first and I put my incense on it. Can you shut up? That would have broken the chemistry, the magic. So essentially what astrology is about is how do you do you? How do you figure out that fire person who wakes up in the morning? I have a friend that's famous that starts off the morning singing, "Good morning." How does it go? "Good morning, good morning." She goes into this like loud rapture song, like we're all interested. But that's because she has Mercury and Sag. So you can start just by, of course, your sun sign and your rising sign will give you the clue if you've got a strong fire element. But the biggest indicator, the single biggest indicator of how your system operates is by looking at your Mercury. And this is covered in the first class and level one in the second class. Is just, and I think we take it for granted that the way that your thought process works, the way that your mental body works, determines how you are going to present to the world. Because basically, we're really one big brain. I mean, the body is ruled by 1% of the body, which is the brain, that's telling me to move my hand right now. And pretty much all of it, the nervous system, the organs, the blood flow, the organic way that your body does white and red blood cells, all of that is created by an unconscious impulse. That's called life itself. But there's a teeny little part that's called the brain, Mercury, that has a 1% option to choose what to eat, to choose what time to get up, to choose what to say in the morning, to choose your rituals. And that free will button gives you permission to, first of all, accept who you are. That's the first bottom note to astrology. So if you're Mercury, let's go through the four of them. If you wake up in the morning and your Mercury is in a water sign, the last thing you want is someone talking to you. It takes you a while to actually gather the forces and bring yourself into center. If your Mercury is in air, the first thing you want is to talk to your partner. "How are you doing? Good morning. Tell me your dreams." Like it's a verbal, immediate need to fluff up the pillow of the bed, make the bed, do all that stuff with a dialogue running. If your Mercury is in earth, which is what I have, you start the day with your list, and you might pull out your phone and you start working on what's the schedule look like, and you might be able to start your day with ritual. So I always put on a candle or incense and do my prayers and start the day with, "Let this day be magical. This is your day, spirit, God, life, whatever you want to call it, the Christ energy. Let me give you my life force consciously to start my day at a practical level. I'm going to use ritual." But truthfully, all of us, water, air, earth, or fire, should all be starting the day by giving your life over to spirit. And that brings us to the last one, those fire people. That's the one that wakes up singing, "Good morning, good morning." I wish I could sing that song. So, point being, there is a personality type that every one of you watching this has. And it's described certainly by your sun sign. That's your life giving force. And it may be, if you're soulful, your rising sign is influencing you. And some people are more their rising sign than they are their sun sign if they're soulful. The rising sign is the soul. And then we look to see Mercury, and that gives us the shortcut to, "Oh, now I get it. That's how your thought process works. And there isn't a day that goes by that I don't realize how much my Mercury is influencing me, because the feedback you guys always give me that I'm teaching is how practical my work is. Well, my Mercury's in Taurus. It's so like I repeat myself, poor Carrie. Water is wet and fire is hot and air is everywhere. And oh my God, I forgot what I did with earth. I forgot to put a list together. So those four elements I talk about all the time. That is the mercurial gift I have of Mercury and Taurus that can repeat itself. So you have personality traits that repeat themselves. Either you're very ballsy, or you're very shy, or you're very worried, or you're very free, or you're very communicative, or you're nonverbal, or you're super organized, or you're a mess. You know these different traits and they don't go away. Now you can insert a New Year's Eve, a ritual, or a new, this year I'm going to clean up my stuff, or this year I'm going to do therapy, whatever you insert. But the perpetual, easy, low gravity, low hanging fruit is where you go naturally. It's your default. And this is something important to know, because the default is exactly what could interrupt everything. If you're not studying astrology and you don't realize this is what happens in level 1, these big ahas come in. Yesterday we did a Facebook Live that was so much fun with two of our students who had been through all 3 levels. And both of them described, one of them had a grand trine in Earth. Wasn't that fun, Carrie? One had a grand trine in Earth. That was Susan Day. And she dealt with this practical compulsion, her personality type, to always have to be producing, and she couldn't relax without it. And then the other person, Dana, had a grand trine in air. So she was just having her mind going in, because air signs are flighty and they're fickle and they play. So they both learned in level 1 what the propensity was, what the perpetual motion is. So I want to ask you right now, take a moment and think about your thought process. Like, what's the internal dialogue that reoccurs? I love to think about this. Like, where does my mind go? Like, I was on an airplane yesterday flying, and I'm in lovely San Francisco, where it's so, what's it called? Foggy. I want to say smoky, but it's foggy. Where does my mind go when I'm free to let it roam in the garden or in the pasture by itself? Because that's going to give me the clue where my Mercury is. So if your mind, when you're left alone, worries, and this is what anxiety is, people really suffer from anxiety. It's a universal problem right now. Your mind goes to what's wrong, what you didn't do, what you should do, what you're supposed to do, what others are supposed to do. That's all Mercury in water. That's a very strong water influence. Like, the mind goes around what it should worry about because the emotional body's trapped by the mind. The Mercury in water is an emotional body and a mind all wrapped together. That's like having Mercury conjunct the moon. That's the same thing. The moon is the emotions and Mercury's your thoughts. And if they're hanging out together, so your thought process worries about the single feeling that you have that could go wrong. Okay, if you're left with your thought process all by itself, like Tracy just said, her Mercury's in Taurus, Jennifer's is in Aries, and Rita's is in Gemini, then that's funny. We just got all 4 of them. Oh. Sherry's got it in Libra. So if it's an air thought process, you are very fickle. Your thoughts are indecisive and you change your mind, and you're very, the thing about Mercury and air is they're very, what's that word when you just go with whatever's convenient for the moment? Like, they're opportunist. So that thought process is fickle, and it will, like, one day it wants to go study astrology, one day it wants to go study numerology, one day it forgot what it was supposed to do, and the next day it decided it wanted to go for lunch, but it didn't really like that person. Another one called and they changed their mind. If that's your thought process, it's spontaneous and it changes all the time. That's a clue that it's an air. And if it's an earth, you talk slowly. I know. When I was young, oh my God, I was as far away from my Mercury as I could get. So Mercury in an earth sign is a very methodical thought process that it worries, like similar to water. Air doesn't worry. Air just changes its mind and gets confused. That's the big thing for air people is they confuse themselves with multiple ideas that never stop. Yeah. Then comes Mercury and fire. And that is like super duper funny. Oh my God, I love Mercury and fire people. And they are so, like, this is so funny. Yesterday, I was in a bad state. I had a really difficult day yesterday, one of the worst I've had in a long time. And I called forward one of my favorite healers, whose name is Scott McKennis. He's unbelievably gifted, this man. So he came over and he started off doing that spiritual thing because he's got lots of fire in him, and his Mercury's in Cancer, and he could feel me. His Mercury's in water, so he was tracking me, which is one of his gifts. And then he started going into that spiritual thing. Well, this wound that just got opened has been waiting for a long time for you to have this issue arise so it could be healed. I was like, oh no, you're not going to go spiritual on me right now, are you? You're not going to start telling me how to get spiritually relief out of this because I'm in my human. Can you give me a turn first to be a little whiner and complain and feel sad and be disoriented? I'll come back soon, but don't start with the spiritual. That his yes, Angela, Scott is amazing, but his Sag jumped right in, his fire, to interrupt my thought process, which was slower, and I needed time to be miserable. It's so important in this life to be able to be human. And the human is to say out loud, I'm sad, I'm scared, I made a mistake, I was wrong, you were wrong, you hurt me, and I'm using your hurt to disrupt, just to support my belief that I'm not lovable, or I'm not liked, or I don't deserve to be here, or you never chose me. We have so many psychological patterns. Raise your hand if your thought process gets wrapped up with a psychological pattern. Yes, said Lisa. You are wanting to put time into your chart. Amy, my Mercury is in Capricorn, but I identify more with airy communication and thoughts. What would cause that? If your Mercury is not strongly aspected, and that's what you learn in level 1, just because your Mercury is in, you say your Mercury is in Capricorn, if you have oppression going on to your Mercury, let's say Mars, I hate using the word Trump. Let's say Mars trumps your Mercury and it's got more air in your chart than the Earth can handle, then Amy, you're going to show up as air. And Mercury conjunctions definitely describe, like if you have Mercury conjunct Mars, we talked about this earlier, that's going to make you, it'll change, it'll still present with the element. You never lose the element, but it will change the energy around it because it's going to make you far more motivated with Mars sitting there. So like, for example, I'm thinking of someone that we all know and love in our tribe, our company, who has Mercury opposite Neptune. So she's always getting these psychic downloads. Neptune rules psychic. So here's how you do it. This happens in level 1 in the second class. You study at length your Mercury. Is it being aspected? Is it being supported? Is it being squished? Is it, like in Mercury opposite Neptune, is it being danced with by an abstract energy? Is it being supported by your Pluto standing next to it? Like there's a lot of factors that contribute to how it is that your intellectual process works. So let's go back to you. Tell me about, you can answer, Carrie can write these down. What's the nature of your thought process? Is it slow? Is it fast? You can write slow or fast. Is it loud or is it quiet? Like, is your thoughts soft or are they really loud? And is it organized or is it spontaneous? So let's hear I can't wait to hear, Carrie, what the answers are you're getting.
Maria says fast and loud. It takes a little while. There's a little bit of a delay, so we'll wait for a little bit.
So Maria said she has Mercury in Pisces.
Angela said methodical. Maria said organized.
I think, Angela, do you have Mercury in Capricorn? I know you're an Aquarian. So your thoughts are organized. Do you know how lucky you are to have that? So that's kind of how my mind works. It's very systematic. It's very repetitive. What about you, Carrie? How does your mind must go really quick, Carrie?
Very quick.
Like you just take information in and out?
Yeah.
Does it stick? Do you retain it?
About 9 times out of 10, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good memory. Mercury in air makes for a really good memory. So there's an example. Her Mercury is in Gemini, Carrie, moves very quick. Angela, I think Angela's Mercury is in Earth. Amy, my Mercury is in Capricorn. That's so interesting. Amy, I'd love to see your chart. This is a Facebook Live where I'm teasing you to whet your appetite, to make you want to learn more, because just this topic, because what we're talking about is, the name of the conversation is, I have so much fire. How do I make it go away? You don't make it go away. The job of astrology is to give you permission to stay with it so that you can give full expression to your natural sense. Like, I can't help but be practical and repeat myself. And I love that about me. Are there other answers, Carrie, coming in?
Yeah, we've got a lot. They're kind of all over the board, but
Maybe some.
Malika says organized, slow, and fun. Jennifer says fast, loud, spontaneous.
Fast, loud,
Angela,
spontaneous, Jennifer. So that Jennifer's would definitely suggest fire and air. Fast, loud, and spontaneous. My internal dialogue is not fast, loud, and spontaneous. Isn't that cool, you guys? You get to distinguish the unique version of your thought process and celebrate it and not change it. But I mean, certainly you cultivate the missing element. Somebody wrote me the most interesting question today. They sent me an email and it said, why, oh, I know, it was Mercury and Capricorn. She asked this, why would I want to cultivate the missing element if I don't have it? I was like, yeah, that's like saying, you don't have a relationship but you want one, but you don't, maybe you shouldn't have it because you don't have it. No, it's so important for you to reach and stretch and go into the zone where you're not familiar, because that's called growth. I chose to memorize what's meaningful to me, said Judy. Yeah, well, some people's memories, by the way, they don't even get a choice. It just sticks in their head. If they've got Mercury in Aquarius, they're so smart. So the point of the story is Sun and Mercury in Pisces with Saturn and Moon in Leo makes me far too vague when I'm fiery. I'm always told I'm crazy. Oh my God, Susan, that's so funny. Sun and Mercury in Pisces with Leo. See, there's a great example. So her mind goes wishy-washy and takes on other shapes, and it changes shapes and it gets all confused. And then her fire comes in with this total authority, but it's not really clear. So she gets called crazy. I can totally see how that would happen. Because once Leo activates it, oh no, I was confused. Here's Jen. My thought process is sharp and vicious. Wow, so you guys now tell me where your Mercury is. Write down again where, like Susan did a great job, Sun and Mercury in Pisces. So we could see the dreamer with that Leo influence. If we mix them up, this is what astrology is, and you learn this in level 1. You're in the kitchen, you're in a blender, and you just take those 3 pieces, the sign, the planet, and the house, and mix it all up. Mix it all up. Mix it all up. Put it in the blender and mix it all up. Pamela. Slow, quiet, and spontaneous with Mercury and Scorpio. Oh, I love that. That's such a good one. Slow, quiet, and spontaneous. Pamela, good description. Come on, somebody else, give me one of yours. Tell me what your Mercury is and tell me how your thoughts work. I'm going to say mine is repetitive, simple, and dumb. Just kidding. Oh, look, your mom said, I love your mom. Oh my God, Deb, we have Mercury at the exact same degree, you and I. No wonder I like you. Slow, steady, and stubborn to let go of thoughts. I am so like that. 11 degrees of Taurus. Did you know that your mom and I have the same exact degree, Carrie?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we're both a little slow. It's kind of a problem. Here's, I wrote down repetitive, simple, and dumb. Linda, Mercury and Cap, I want to organize everything. Paula, loud, fast, and steady, Mercury and Capricorn. Malika, always in order, always. Oh, Malika, no wonder you're so good as an astrologer. We have someone on this call today who is a great astrologer. You can go on my website and look under under work with me, and you'll see a list of certified astrologers. Malika is brilliant. No wonder Malika. So she has Mercury and Capricorn. So she takes the practical stuff and she follows it word by word, and that's why you're such a good astrologer. Lisa said Virgo Sun, Scorpio Moon, Mercury in Leo. Oh my God, that's tricky, Lisa. Because so your sun's perfecting, your moon is going deep, and then your mind is wanting to be a smarty pants. And you probably are a smarty pants. Smarty pants. Okay. Valeria, Valerie, Mercury and Sun in Virgo, overactive, derailed, need to fix, must be perfect. Listen to Judy, so perfect. Yeah, Angela, you didn't tell us what yours is in, Angela. Methodical, independent, remembers much, but you forgot to tell us what sign it's in. Oh, Malika just did your reading, Debbie. I'd love to hear it. Christiana, I'm a Pisces, slowly, softly, random. So can you see how clear this is? We're doing it live time right here on Facebook Live. Boy.
So can you talk a little bit about the people who might not like this
Yes.
thought process in themselves?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God. Thank you, Carrie. I so didn't like having Mercury in Taurus. I felt so, I did, like, I used the word dumb. I did feel dumb. I felt like I was like somehow I was, well, like right now, it took me so long to figure out how to use my thought process without being so cautious. Oh, Michelle Cromer's here. Mercury is Scorpio at 18 degrees. My thoughts are slow and deep and funny. See, now there's a great example with Michelle Cromer because the Libra, this is like with my chart, Gemini, Taurus. I have this funny personality that I've got a very repetitive thought process. So it makes my words like that's what happens with Michelle Cromer. Her Libra is so funny. Libras are funny, they're air signs, but her Mercury in Scorpio is so deep and so psychic, Michelle. That makes so much sense, Michelle. You take that class again. There's Angela. Oh, you've got Mercury in Aquarius. Oh, that's why you're so smart. But see, Angela, Mercury and Aquarius, that explains so much about your when we work together. So they move so fast and they talk so much and they give so much information. But the thing you want to pay attention to, let's back up. If you've got Mercury in water, you have to really be conscious about your negativity because you're vulnerable to your feeling body. That's what happens to Michelle Cromer. It's the psychic impressions that come through that are so powerful. Oh my God, Michelle, 18 degrees of Scorpio. It's sitting on my North Node, Michelle. That's ridiculous. We got to talk about that. So if your mind is operating in water, your personality is psychically being bombarded and it can lend itself to isolationism, judgments, being scared. If your Mercury is in air, it means you talk so much. You give so much more information than the rest of us. If your Mercury is in earth, you're much more cautious. If your Mercury is in fire, you're much more impulsive. And then just ask, what if your Mercury's in the same sun sign? Then you've got double the flavor, double the fun. If your sun sign, here's the first announcement. We're talking today about what your personality is that won't go away. The traits that you have that are indubitably, is that a word? Indubitably? How do you say that word, Carrie?
Indubitably?
Yeah, indubitably stuck to you. We're talking, the conversation today on this Facebook Live is you have a personality that's stuck to you like glue. Your job is not to change the personality, but to turn the observer on and look back at it and go, oh, I do talk a lot, or God, I do talk slow, or gee, I do repeat myself. There's no need to change it. But once your awareness is on, you can call yourself out and say, can I have a minute? I'm probably talking too much and I'm giving you too much information, but I really want to simplify this. Or I'm probably not talking enough and I really want to learn how to. So can you be generous with me? What sign is Mercury exalted in? In Aquarius. Traditional astrology says that Mercury it rules two signs, Gemini and Virgo. But it's exalted in Aquarius because when the mind, and that's what Angela has, when the mind is going that fast into the future, collecting information with an incredible memory, smarty pants. But in the case like with Michelle Cromer, with Mercury and Scorpio, that's difficult because it's the mind is working from an emotional place and it can conjure up things that aren't necessarily true and believe them. Mercury and Earth never conjures up stuff like, I want hard facts. Did you hear the details? Such a funny game. We are such funny ducks. Everybody's Mercury is controlling the shit out of you, just so you know. And as soon as you can put your Mercury in a seat, because that was the name of our talk today, what do I do with this crazy fire personality? Well, you can't take it away. You can't change it. I don't want you to change it. Your chart is it should be tattooed on your forehead and then it would get rid of all these lines. See all those lines? And I'd have a big tattoo on my forehead and we'd all be looking at each other's foreheads going, oh, wherever your Mercury is, it describes how you think. And that will determine your personality. And the sooner you isolate that one piece, you accept your personality, the sooner you get on the page with astrology. And why am I here this morning? To encourage you to take level one. Just do level one. Even if you've done it before, anyone's done it before, Michelle Cromer, you can come in for free and sit in. Or you can take it again and pay the money and start the whole class again. Nungdalong. What does that mean? That was a person's name. Any other questions coming from the peanut gallery? Because we're just about done. Carrie?
Malika says she loves her Mercury in Capricorn and it makes her feel like a grown-up.
It's such a, I love Mercury in Capricorn. That's, I mean, unfortunately, I'm coming back as a Cancer, but I'm Capricorn rising in my next life. But Mercury in Capricorn by far, is the most intelligent. I hate to say that. It's probably not nice. You would think Mercury in Aquarius was because it's exalted, but they go so fast and they're so speedy. Mercury and Sun in the 11th, Pisces, difficult placement. Yes, yes. Mercury is exalted in the 11th house. Oh, Michelle, finally, I want to take you and nail you down in a chair and sit next to you and whisper to you all the answers so you'll get all the right answers and you can take the class again so you can start using. Listen, why are you here today, you guys? How many people are in this room?
Right now, live with us, a little under 100.
Okay, so if all of you decided that you wanted to become aware of compassionate understanding with distinguished articulation of your sign, your mind, if all of you wanted to articulate the distinct difference of how your mind works from your husband, from the dog, from your baby, from your mother, from your cousin, and you could, like I can look at Michelle Cromer and go, Mercury's in Scorpio? Well, of course you're psychic. Your thought process is immersed in water at the deepest level. However, you're a Libra who's a little bit of an airhead, and those combinations, one, that makes for humor. Scorpios are funny. No one knows that. There's a saying that intelligence is close to insanity. No, what the saying is, Judy, is the line between brilliance and insanity is very thin. And that's an Aquarius sentence because intelligence requires you to open your mind and suspend the earth and float and open. And crazy allows you to open your mind, suspend the earth and float. See the similarity, the resemblance? And I always think that I once did a workshop 100 years ago in the 1980s with the LA Mental Health Association, where I brought together these doctors to talk to the parents of parents that had children who were mentally ill, had psychological problems. And it was called The Road of Insanity is So Close to Brilliance. Like insanity and brilliance are cousins. Is that what you meant, Judy? All right, kids. Well, this is me tempting you. I feel like I'm a drug dealer and I just gave you a little drug. Like, go look at your Mercury, you guys. Go find out the personality trait you have that will not go away. And then see the planets that are closer. Like Michelle, you have 3 planets in Scorpio. So who else is standing next to your Mercury? You probably have Mars there. And what else do you have in Scorpio? Venus? So you're supposed to know these things.
And Debra goes much deeper on Mercury in her class. So if you're interested in this topic, make sure you click the link in the description of this video or in the comments. Put your information in.
Deeper. I go much deeper, she said right when I was talking about Scorpio.
And yeah, put your information in there and we'll email you when the class opens again.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the class to open again. We're going to be selling out this time. So just so you know, we just about sold out. This is only our 3.5 year. Is that true, Carrie?
Yeah.
And so this launch, I have a very strong feeling with Carrie, who's going to have to carry the load. That's why we call her Carrie. It's going to be a big one. And we'll have to send people away. But if you get there in the nick of time, we can fit you in and you can come take our class. And those of you that are coming to take it again, Michelle, you need to tell us soon because each mentor is only allowed to have so many audits. Good to know. Oh, and then you guys, last thing, if you want to cheat and not take the class, just go get the missing element. You can go right on my website and I'll sign the book and send you your chart. You can look up the Mercury on the element and there you go. Oh, Venus, Neptune, and Mercury, Michelle. Oh, because your Mars is in Cancer at 11 degrees, exact degree of mine. How do I know this? Okay, who loves you? I love you.